Hey, what's up? So welcome to the episode. I wanted to talk to you guys about masterminds and masterminding. I didn't have any notes or anything prepared for this session. I just got back from our mastermind and I was just like, man, I was just so excited to be in the room with the people I was in the room with, and so excited just to be back around entrepreneurs and multiple 6 and 7 figure earners, and just people that are trying to change the world, quite frankly. And I thought, man, let's do an episode. Let's talk about the experience of being in a mastermind. Let's break down what a mastermind is, what it isn't, what could you expect from one, especially after coming out of COVID. A lot of people are on lockdown for the past year and are now craving the energy, especially the energy that you get in the mastermind. Because usually, depending on the type of mastermind, you get to meet in person sometimes. And so I want to just dive into all of that. What's a mastermind? What is it? How I'm feeling coming off the one I was just on, and what it could potentially mean to you if you've never joined a mastermind. So let's get into it. So we just got back from California, was in San Diego for about 3 days for our mastermind, but really was one full day of actual masterminding. And then you have, your day of travel, getting in there, and then you pre-hang out, and then, your day of leaving and coming back home. And I set a goal for myself personally. I sought out to be around other individuals. I said, I want to get around a different energy. I want to network with some other individuals. And this is a group that I had been networking with and doing business with before, but I was ready to take that relationship to another level. And so, being down there, being in that room, being around some of these other individuals, it really just pushes you to think about not just business. Because I think when people hear a mastermind, they think, oh, we're just going to go talk business all day. And some of it is business, but a good portion of it as well is not just business, but it's about character. It's about who are you? Who are you as a person? What do you want out of life? What's your belief system? A lot of different things are woven into that, because what you don't realize is, when you have talents or skills, or you're playing in certain industries, you start to realize that it's not hard to actually make money. It's actually hard to be a good person. It's hard to resist the temptation that's going to come your way. It's hard to turn down opportunities that might not align with your values, but you're tempted by the money. And so there's a whole nother side to, quote unquote, being successful and making money. And masterminds is typically that place where you can go to talk about the other things that are typically not so sexy when it comes to business, in addition to making potential business relationships, or just good friendships with other high level people. But it's usually a safe place to come, let your hair down, so to speak, talk about some of the things that are not as cute about business, not as fun, struggles, challenges that you might have in business. Also a place that you can ask for resources, help, tap into each other's networks, different things like that. Just become vulnerable and really build those deeper connections. And so if I look at my mastermind experience, let me break down, because I have been in 3 different masterminds, and now I'm at a point where I believe I'll always have at least 2 masterminds going on. So I was in one mastermind, and these masterminds, let me go here. They can range from any type of price, but I try to be, because we run our own mastermind at Power Trades University. It's called Power Trades Elite. I try to practice what I preach. And what I mean by that is these masterminds can cost anywhere from between $10,000 and $30,000. I've been in the $30,000 mastermind. I've been in the 10 and another 10. I've been in multiple different masterminds. Like I said, from 10 anywhere up to 30. There's some that go up to $100,000. And what I mean by I try to practice what I preach is because our mastermind isn't cheap as well. But I, as the leader of our mastermind, I try to, I don't try, I guess, I execute on what I want my students to execute on. So I'm always looking for high level individuals to be around, high level learning, high level networking, and just a high level of being able to improve myself, and also knowing what it feels like to cut those type of checks, and then what it also takes to show up in those environments and get a return out of it. Because in these masterminds, you usually get in it what you put into it. It's not always just like some structured teaching, because you can buy a course or something for that, but it's more about the experience. So, one mastermind I was in for a year, I can tell you the people, the connections, the people whose phone numbers I have that I know on a first name basis, could call, text, not necessarily ask for favors, but just to say, how are you doing? Also just to, if I was in trouble business wise or just confused about something, just to be able to pick up the phone and make that call is invaluable. And now some people may be listening to this and thinking like, wait a minute. So most of you guys pay this much money to just get each other's phone numbers or just for friendships. And I think that's a big misconception about masterminds, is that you're paying for friendships. But it's not really that you're paying for friendships. What you're paying for is that commonality and the opportunity to create a real friendship and a real genuine connection. Because the reality is, I'll give you an example. I'm in a mastermind where, and I don't even know if we call it a mastermind, but it's pretty much a mastermind. I'm in a mastermind where I'm definitely one of the younger ones, and I'm one of the only Black people in one of the groups. Now, my other mastermind, it was also majority African American, and then I'm also was in another mastermind where it was people from all over the world, so to speak. It wasn't even just about Black, white, or U.S. It was people from different countries and different things like that in that mastermind group. And so there's just all these different groups that serve a different purpose. But my point in going here is that in one of the groups where I'm like the youngest, only African American male, there are some people that I am so cool and connected with that are doing some awesome things in business. And I'm talking, if we were to put money to it, they're doing some phenomenal things, multi-millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, compared to me just being a newer millionaire, doing some big things. And the reality is we don't necessarily on a day-to-day basis, we don't have anything that would connect us together and have us cross paths to create the genuine friendship and connection we have now. I mean, once I got to meet these guys and gals, you'd be surprised how much we have in common, but we're not going to the same movie theaters. We're not going to the same restaurants. And if we are, you sit with your people and you look across the room, you're just like, oh, those people like they're having fun. And so when you think about, are you paying for friendships? You're not paying for friendships. You're paying to be in a environment that you can thrive in, an environment where everyone else scratched the same check to be in that room, an environment where normally you wouldn't have crossed paths just because of your life circumstances. A lot of the people I'm in masterminds with, they're just not even in Michigan. They're just not even local. So, I mean, let alone us being in the same state at the same time, being at the same event at the same time, and brushing shoulders for longer than 5 minutes. When would you ever exchange contact information or emails with these folks? When would you ever have the opportunity to build these bonds? And so that's really the idea behind these masterminds. It's like, let's go get fed, let's go network, let's go meet people that I normally wouldn't have met any other way. And so coming back off this newer mastermind, these were guys that, a lot of the guys in the group, I've never met before. Some of them I've never heard of before. And they're all doing some very interesting, very unique, very great things. And I'm intentionally also not mentioning the masterminds that I'm in. Maybe I'll do another episode or something about the actual masterminds that I'm in, but I'm not mentioning the names on purpose because I'm not trying to name drop. Because I mean, we're in a group with some big name people. I'm in another group with some very high level entrepreneurs and people that are not in the social media, not in the stock market trading. But I'm not here trying to name drop and like, oh, look at me, I'm in a group with these people and we paid, X amount of dollars. That's not the intent of this episode. The intent really is to, I guess, just share that I'm coming back off a high, and I'm just so grateful that I could be surrounded by some of these people. And I'm really want to you as a listener to open your mind to what happens when you say, I deserve to be in these rooms and I deserve to spend my money differently. Because spending money on a mastermind, when I joined that mastermind, that was $30,000. Like cutting that type of a check, you have these questions like, what am I going to get? Like, what are we going to do? And you're like, what is this going to be about? And can you guarantee I'm going to be my business is going to grow from it? And you have all these fears and all these walls up, because I know I did. But what helped me get past that was I was like, man, what kind of person cuts that kind of check to be in the room? What kind of person makes the investment in themselves, in their business? Because that's what you're doing. You're making an investment in yourself, in your business, whether that's your trading business, if you're investing with us, joining our masterminds, if you have some type of other business, you're making an investment in yourself, in your business. And you're making a declaration that, like, I'm cutting a check for perspective, to get around people who change my perspective, change my mindset, help me dream bigger, think bigger. That doesn't mean they're going to come work in my business, work in my stocks, work in my options, and do the work for me and pour money into my pocket. But they encourage me. They give me insight. They, whenever I'm getting off from my values, help me steer back. And that perspective, that insight, that energy usually turns into some tangible benefit in your business, in your financial life, in your trading. But you have all these reservations leading up to that. Like, what's it about? What are the other people? Who are the other people in the group? And there's a little bit of serendipitous things that just has to happen. It's just like, that's part of the fun. You don't know who's in the group. You don't know what awesome people that you're going to meet. You don't know who you're going to be 6 months or 12 months from now, depending on how long that mastermind is. What's beautiful about it is that you have to come in with an open mind, ready to receive. And more importantly, you have to come in with an open mind and ready to give. Okay. And, when you think about investing, most people think about investing like, I can take that money and put it in the stock market. I can take that money and put it in a real estate property or something like that. I can tell you, we were in the group with one of the kings of real estate, and just being able to talk with him about, real estate and be connected, and like, right there, I don't have to go through his assistant. I don't have to go through his admin to ask a question. I mean, that alone is just so valuable. But what I'm trying to say is that there's different forms of investing, and it's a whole nother level of investing when you start to join masterminds and you start to say, I'm going for the experience and I'm going for the connections. Because guess what? Yes, you could take your quote unquote mastermind fee and buy a real estate property or put it in the stock market, do something like that. But if the stock market goes down and you lose your money, if the options crash, you lose your money, if that real estate investment doesn't work out, that money's gone. Or even if it does work out, all you're left with is more money. Either it doesn't work out and you lose money, or it works out and you have more money. But what I found is more important than having more money, or more important than, oh, I just lost some money, the relationships that I have created in some of these groups. It's so much more valuable than money, because if I lost the money, I know that with the power of my network, there's almost nothing I couldn't do or a phone call I couldn't make and get back into the game. There's no, I believe even if I had the right opportunity, I'm sure I could put together my own type of group of investors just from being around these people and them knowing my character, knowing my energy. And so what I'm saying is that is way more valuable than worrying about how much money you could make with that money or how much you could lose with that money. On the flip side, you might say, well, I could take that money, invest in my business and grow it and do this and do that. But I think when you think like that, yes, let's say you took your money that you had earmarked for a mastermind maybe, and you put it back into your business or your stocks or options. It's like, yes, you can make some money, but what I've noticed is the amount of money I've made in proportion to joining the mastermind, I can tell you, I can literally attribute probably $500,000 to $1,000,000 to joining a mastermind. I literally could attribute that amount of money to the return I've got. And not because anybody came into my business or did anything for me or did anything in my stocks. Had nothing to do with that. Quite the opposite. None of them did anything for me with my physically for my business. But what they've done for me mentally, with making me think bigger, making me try, being willing to try different things, hearing the stories, knowing what they've done or went through to get to where they're at, and being able to be vulnerable with the people in those rooms, those things have given me the power to push through some challenges and grow things to where it's at right now. And more importantly, grow things to where I think they're going to go. So, when I look at a mastermind, I remember my cousin once asked me, because he said, like, Jay, what do you do for personal growth now that you're kind of on this new trajectory, right? Because, you get this trajectory of like, I want to become, if you look at life, you're like, I want to make $100,000, so you kind of go through your life wanting to get $100,000 job or whatever the case may be. You get your $100,000 job, and you kind of go on this new trajectory. And you're like, I want to be a millionaire. And because you get to 100,000, you realize, it's okay, but it's not as much money as I thought, or whatever the case may be. Then you go on this trajectory like, I want to be a millionaire. Then you get to become a millionaire, and I can humbly say, for most of the people I know, you get there and you realize like, it's a decent life, but it ain't that much money as you thought when you didn't have it. Now, in comparison, right, to a person who's struggling right now, obviously we're not saying $1 million is not a lot of money. That's not the message I want to send you. I'm just saying, as you grow and the things you want to accomplish, the amount of money you want to give to your church, the amount of people in your family you want to help, the donations you want to make. It's not even about just cars and houses and stuff, just the people you want to help, the donations you want to make, the boys and girls clubs of your neighborhoods that you really want to buy jerseys for all the kids and sports equipment. You start to realize how quickly that money can dwindle down. Then you get in the millionaire club and you're like, I want to be multi-million, right? And so it's this stretch of a journey. And so my point is, when I was on our journey to making 100,000 plus, I remember the personal growth we used to invest in was like audiobooks, which I still listen to audiobooks, physical books for reading books, and maybe like a weekend seminar or something like that. Well, what I'm saying now is, as you graduate throughout the levels, the personal growth that I invest in now, I earmark a certain amount of cash every year for masterminds. Like, it's just a non-negotiable. It's like, I have to be in at least one mastermind. And I think I said this before. One of my friends, she blew my mind when I was like first brand new into the mastermind. I'm like, yeah, I got the check. It was the biggest check I ever wrote. And I said, so, what about you? And how do you like being in the mastermind? And she looked at me and said, well, I'm in 2 masterminds. And I was just like, okay. I'll say her name, Stacy. I won't say her last name, but Stacy, if you're listening to this, she probably is not. But that just blew my mind when she was like, well, I'm in 2. Because what I thought was big money to scratch to be in 1, she scratched 2 of those checks to be in 2 different ones. And so I was just like, okay, that's a whole nother level. I'm just brand new to this. And so it's very interesting now to be in 2 different masterminds. It's like, wow, now I'm that person. But that just goes to show how much your brain and how much things expand after you start walking through this door. And so again, my cousin asked me, what do you do now for personal development? And I said, man, I join masterminds now. It's like, I have to be in the room with other people, surrounded by other big thinkers, other entrepreneurs. In fact, I literally this past weekend, I felt not in a bad way, but I felt like the smallest person in the room. And I'm not just saying that. I literally was like, you did what? Your course is doing what? You guys are doing what with real estate? Like I was like, okay, all right. I'm in the right room. And why do I say I'm in the right room? Because there's this old cliche or saying that goes like, you want to be the dumbest person in the room. Now, of course, I'm not dumb. If I was able to get into that room, I've had to do something or prove some type of accomplishments to grow to the level where I can afford to be in that room and bring my expertise to the game. But it's not about beating your chest and talking about how good you are, how great you are, and like, I'm in that room. It's more like, no, I was humbled. I was like, okay, there's some players in this room. Let's listen. Let's take notes. Let's make these relationships, and then let's go back and go to work. All right. And so being in masterminds for me is the personal development at this level. When I'm not in those rooms and not in those groups, I start smelling my own stuff. I start thinking I'm better than I really am. And those rooms remind me that pipe down, you still got a ways to go. You still got some growth. And you could be even more humbler when you start to see how humble people who have more than you and are more successful than you are. So as I wrap up this, as we wrap this up, we're getting ready to open the doors to our mastermind in 2022. So depending on when you're listening to this in December around the holidays, or maybe you just listen to this episode in the brand new year, if you've never joined a trading mastermind, okay, which is our mastermind, which is Power Trades University, you can join our wait list for when we get ready to open the doors. You can go to powertradesuniversity.com/elite, okay, because we call it Power Trades Elite. So again, that's powertradesuniversity.com/elite. We're doing some things that we have never done before with our mastermind. By me being part of other people's mastermind, another positive thing is that I'm able to look at some of the things they're doing and say, how can I bring that to my mastermind and make it even better than what it is? Even though we got a great mastermind, it's like, how can I bring that to our mastermind and make it even better than it is? And so we got a lot of things that we're going to be doing different in our mastermind in 2022, especially as the world starts to open back up. We want to look into some in-person potential events. We had a 6-month mastermind. We're looking at stretching that to a 12-month mastermind now, which is going to be really cool to spend the entire year together and grow in the stock market and go through a whole year of ups, downs, market swings, and be able to look at the market and get insights, trades, thoughts, feedback, tax strategies, all kind of stuff. So I'm super pumped, super excited about it. If you're at all interested in what it's like to be part of not only a mastermind, but a trading mastermind, a mastermind where people are looking at the market, looking at different investments, moving anywhere from 50 to 100,000 plus of dollars worth of trades. Trust me when I say it is something to see and be a part of, as well as be a part of a group that when things aren't working so well, you have a safe space to discuss what's going on with your trading, your mindset, your nervous system when you're nervous of placing a big trade, etc. I can't tell you how valuable that is. And I can't tell you how humbled I am to be in a position to run a high level mastermind, as well as humbled to be in a position to be part of a high level mastermind and make sure, not just one, but two, and make sure that I am still being a student so that I can also be the best leader for my people who work with me and continue to bring value to them. So again, just check us out, powertradesuniversity.com/elite. You can join the wait list. There's a wait list where you can join with your email. You can also fill out the questionnaire because it's an application process to be part of the Elite Mastermind. And we're going to be starting interviews sometime in January because doors are going to open. And I believe we're going to kick off in February. But even if it's not us, I want you to leave thinking, how can I get around other high-level individuals, high-level thinkers, high-level people? How can I be a blessing in that room, and how can I also realize that it's a gift to be in that room and be humble enough to receive and be open to listen and get feedback in that room as well. And I'm telling you, if you're blessed enough to be part of a mastermind, don't take it for granted. Don't take it lightly. Get in there, get everything you came to get, network, make the relationships, and just show up every single day because you paid to be there. And more importantly, you have that space for a short period of time to create those relationships that could last a lifetime. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next episode.